Hello, thank you very much for tuning in to this week's reads. For the main part of the read, I'm using RPG Tarot deck by, I want to say, Jeff Aldrich and John Taylor. Yep. And the website is Simon & Schuster here at the bottom. Feel free to freeze frame and check that out if you're interested in this deck or stuff by those people, of course. Supportive Oracle cards, Wisdom of the Hidden Realms by Colette Baron Reed. I know there's a few websites on the bottom here. Feel free to freeze frame and check those out. There's also a Colette Baron Reed website. I'll give you that information here too. And also about the illustrator Jenna. There's Jenna's full name. Hopefully that's focusing. And there's some information on her, I believe, and some websites at the bottom. And last but not least, I use dice. I use a 22-sided dice for the major arcana, substituting 22 for 0 for the Fool, and 14-sided dice for the minor arcana, with a 4-sided dice choosing the element for the minor arcana. It's from the Dice Shop. They are from the Dice Shop. MathArtFun.com is the website. Hopefully you can read that if you're interested. That being said, if you'd like a reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. And with that being said, let's get into your reading. Hello, Virgo. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's reads. Okay. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Virgo? What's up with the hiccups? What's up with the hiccups? There's a face-down card here, which it's kind of the equivalent of a surprise, which... No. Okay. Okay, it's realizing where things are actually going versus where they should be going. This one card. I don't remember which. There's another sign I had this card come out for, and it looks like, to me it looks like a giant chicken. I believe it's supposed to be a phoenix. Looks like a giant chicken. And it's kind of like, whatever this is, I'm kind of like, whatever it is, I feel like what we're coming into next... I'm trying to not be... I feel like I'm trying to not be rash with it. Can we get like a little bit more? Maybe I am upset and I don't want to be upset. I feel like maybe I'm upset and I don't want to be upset. I keep getting that. Because something here was really good. And I feel like... whatever the history of this situation is, it was really, really good. And it's not something I really wanted to change. I didn't want this to change. And what's popping up out of here nowhere? It was really good. You got the Ace of Cups and the Lady of the Gift there, which can be a beautiful thing, especially if it's moderated out. And it looks like it's going to last a long time because it's moderated out. Work has to be done on this situation. There's something going on beneath the surface. This is face down, which is telling me either there's work going on behind the scenes, which is more than likely, or there needs to be more work on this situation because something is becoming an issue. There's a new revolution coming out. Even though we're still good, a change is coming. I feel like I know it's there. I feel like the hints have been there the whole time. I just don't want this to change. I've enjoyed this. I'm comfortable with this. I don't want these changes to keep happening like this. And I'm like, this is starting to become something different, and I don't want that to happen. I want to keep what I like. And the way this is evolving, I'm like, I don't really know if I have control over it because there's something going on behind the scenes. This is face down. I feel like there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, and a new phase is coming in with the World card. And I feel like currently we're getting along, but I'm like, I don't really want this to change. And currently you're comfortable. So this part, I feel like this is where it gets a little bit uncomfortable, because I don't want it to change. I feel like that's there, and I'm worried that somebody's telling me what I want to hear. And I feel like what they're saying is, whatever this situation is, you got to look a little closer if you want to have a better outcome. Kind of like we gotta look at this a little closer. We gotta listen to like what's going on between the lines. It's not just what's on paper. It's like what's written between the lines. You know what I mean? What's the undertone of what's really going on? Sometimes it's not what people say, it's how people say it and when they say it. So when are they saying certain things and how are they saying it and who are they making sure knows? Something smells a little off here. Something smells a little off and I don't really think I like it. What is that card coming up? The Fool card keeps coming up for you too, by the way. It comes upside down and right side up. It comes right side up in the cards, upside down in the dice. Are they telling you, like, what are they telling you so that you can start seeing through this? I don't know that there's a bad outcome. I just feel like if we see it for what it really is, we can make different decisions. Seeing it for what it is going to give you like a different, like, it's kind of like versus, like, if I feel like it's going to stay where I want it to stay, I'm going to make these set of decisions. If it's actually going to change and I can't stop it, then I'm going to make these other decisions. So perspective makes a huge difference, because I feel like this is going to greatly affect what choices you make going forward. If it's truly going to stay where I want it to, then these are the choices over here. I'm going to stay and I like what's going on. But if things are going to change and I have no control over that and it's just going to change, the way I keep seeing this is kind of like, you know, I keep seeing like beachfront property. I don't know why I'm seeing that, but I'm seeing like beachfront property is all of a sudden not beachfront property anymore. And once I realize it's not going to be beachfront property anymore, something's changing. Like something here is changing where maybe for some reason, maybe there's an earthquake and like all of a sudden, the beach was right here before, now it's 3 miles further out because of some geological change. Or, you know, maybe it drops down, or maybe something happens to the water and it's not inhabitable, or there's something and you can't really, you know, it's toxic to be there. Something is just messed up here is what I'm getting. I know it's a very dramatic version of a analogy, but I feel like they're just trying to give you like, it's kind of like, I don't want that to change and I don't expect it to change. But if something's going on here where it's going to be, because I feel like there's certain things like this that sometimes man-made situations happen. I want to say New Orleans is where they have like dams up, where they have more land there than you would expect because they're blocking out the water. Is that right? I don't know if that's right. I don't know. But I'm getting like something that used to be beachfront property is no longer beachfront property is what I'm getting. Something like, it doesn't have to be literal for somebody, but I keep getting like something is changing here, and it's very dramatic. And I'm looking at the bigger picture, and I'm kind of like, if something's been changing and slowly changing over time anyway, it's kind of like maybe I need to look a little closer and see what's going to happen next. It's a very odd analogy, but that's what I'm getting, so I'm going with it. But I feel like what this is also saying is it's actually people behind the scenes making this happen. I don't know that it's just naturally happening on its own. I feel like there's work going on behind the scenes. Then I get like other people are making decisions that serve them. And they're like, oh, okay, Virgo, you like that, but we're not going to do that anymore. And they're just changing it. But the thing is, they might be just telling you what they think you want to hear. For some of you, this might be a job situation where responsibilities or locations of certain things are going to change. Maybe a certain position that you have is going to be phased out. So if you want to keep working at the company, you've got to choose one of these other positions. I've seen that happen before, where it's kind of like we're phasing out this whole department. If you want to work here, you have this choice or that choice. And it's very interesting because I've seen some companies be a little sneaky with that, where they kind of like divide up some responsibilities and they make new teams and new departments, and they're like, well, we're phasing this out. If you decide that you don't want to be here, then you can go. Or if you want to choose one of these other things, you could apply and see if you fit there. I've seen this literally happen at places I've worked before. It only happened once, but I was just like, I was kind of floored. I was like, that's interesting. That's very sneaky. And they got away with it, so I guess they're allowed to do that. How do you see it? How do you see it? Because I feel like the first thing is to look a little closer and look at the history of certain people, knowing that they play these games. So I also have to step back from loyalties. I have to step back from what I know of this situation, and I got to step into it as if I didn't know anything, if I can do that. I got to look at the history and just like, how do other people feel about these certain things, and why do they feel that way? I have to step away from my opinion and what I want and kind of look at it like, what really is stable here? What can't change, but why can't it change? Because I feel like if I look at something, I'm like, well, that can't change. And then I start listing off reasons why it can't. I feel like I start seeing the holes. I start seeing the holes and like, well, I mean, it's kind of like they have to be here. They can't move this building, so the building is only this size. They can't make it any bigger because we're locked on these other sides from this building, that building, and the other building in the street. So they can't make the building any bigger, and they can't move. And then I'm like, then if I think about it, like, well, why can't they move? Like, why do I think they can't move? They could literally move the building. They could move, like, not the physical building itself, but they could move, like, where we work. They could purchase another building. They could have another building built. They could sell this building. That seems to be a thing that could happen. I've seen that happen with other companies. Things like that happen. So it's kind of like listing off what I think can't change and then looking at it a little closer, like, why do I think that can't change? Have I seen where other companies have done this certain thing, or other situations have worked out that way? That's the first step for you to kind of like look at it a little differently. This next part is interesting because they're saying to be truly enlightened in this moment, we got a lot of time, right? Yeah. To be truly enlightened in this moment, this is a weird way to look at this, but they're saying you'll find what you need to find this way. It seems like it's an odd way to look at it, but they're like saying, look at it maybe two different ways, but maybe having your best foot forward and kind of thinking, well, what's best for the company or best for the situation or best for these people, because it doesn't have to be a business thing, obviously. You can look at it that way, but don't take it for granted that that's like people are going to have best foot forward. What they're advising, I don't know if I want to use that word. Something to consider. There we go. Because I was saying it, I'm like, I don't know if I want to say it that way. Something to consider. What if this goes bad? Not that it has to. Not that it will. But like, if things go a direction that you definitely, like, what's worst case scenario? If things go that direction, what decisions would you need to make to keep yourself happy, to keep yourself where you want to be in life? Not in the sense of like fear-mongering or like, oh no, not like that, but just kind of like, if you go that direction and you kind of think to yourself, okay, if it goes that way, what would I want to do? And you let yourself go there with that, because I'm like, I don't like the idea of fear-mongering, and it kind of makes me nervous. Like, if the Ten of Swords comes up and devastation happens with this situation, how do you negate that out of your life? How do you keep that from bringing you down with it? How do you keep from sinking with the ship? So, a ship, the worst thing, if you're on a ship and it sinks, it's starting to sink, what do? You find a life raft. You get yourself off the boat. You find yourself, how do you get to shore? How far away from shore? Do you need a plan to know what direction? Do you have a compass on you to know which direction? Like, okay, I know that there's land north to me, 15 miles north of us, I know that there's land. I don't think you use miles, obviously, but in the water you don't use miles, you use something else, I don't know what it is. But, do I have a compass? Do I have a plan? Would I be able to get on something that at least would float, that I could like try to paddle myself for the equivalent of 15 miles. That's not what you use in water, I know, but there's something else. Like, having your plan to like, okay, if this goes somewhere I don't want it to go, what is my backup plan for this? Not in like a, oh my gosh, but like a, I don't think it's going to really go there, but if it did, this is where I would go, this is how I would handle it, this is what I would start moving towards. Not like a full detailed plan, but like a rough sketch. You know, this happens, this is what I would do. So, like the boat sinking, for example. Okay, I have a compass on me. Maybe you have a charm or something, or a necklace that has something that could do that. Who knows? Just for safety's sake. And then you're like, okay, first thing I need to do, since I already have my compass, I got to find something that I can, you know, float on, like a boat or even like a piece of wood. Whatever it takes that I can float on so I don't have to, you know, constantly tread water. And then like, all right, I know where I am. I know if I go north, I'm going to hit land. So I know it's about 15 miles. So as long as I keep on my compass and I keep working at it as much as I can, I'll just keep going that direction. I'll get myself out of it. I don't like it. This is not ideal, but I can get out of this if I have to. Not that I will, but like I know if things go sour, I can do that. I don't see anything really going that bad, by the way. I don't feel like worst case scenario is going to help or it's going to happen. It will help, though, to like, kind of have those backup plans because I feel like there's something coming in out of left field, and I don't feel like the outcome I want is happening, and I don't think it's going to be the worst outcome, but it's going to take me a minute to really get a hold of it because I get like somebody else's ideals are coming in really fast. All of a sudden, things I thought were not going to change all of a sudden do change, and I'm feeling trapped with it. The way to not feel trapped with it with that prison wave is to like know that I do have options, to feel out and to know I have options. So for example, if I'm going to use that company situation again, they're closing down the department. You might have a chance with one of two departments, but you have to interview for it. So you're like, okay, I've decided I'm going to try for this one. If I don't get that one, I guess either I'll try for the other one or I do have my backup plan. So it's like I do have options. And it's almost like maybe one of your options was I have two other companies I like and I know that they're hiring for this and they're hiring for that. So it's kind of like I'll try for this internal company or internal change for this other department, but maybe at the same time I'll also interview for these other two companies. And based on what they offer me that I like the best, I'll take what's the best for me. It's being open to that also gives you a better vantage point, but it gives you a better outcome than you were expecting. Because it's kind of like, all right, my department's closed. I have one of these three departments, and I'm choosing the one that's acceptable for me. Maybe I don't want these other two, for whatever reason. But I'm also trying these other two companies. I'm not feeling like, all right, I didn't get the one I wanted internally, but they did offer me this other one, which I don't really want to work in that area, but I don't feel stuck if I have these other two things going on. Does that make sense? As long as I feel like I have adequate options, I don't feel like I'm being strong-armed into something. I feel like I have more wiggle room to like make bigger changes if necessary. It's seeing it going into it empowers you and also opens up doors that maybe, because I feel like for some of you, maybe you're going to have a partner or friends or other people you might talk about this with, and they may be like, well, this is what I learned. Oh, this is something so-and-so is doing. Or, I don't know, last time I was looking for this, I went to this place, or I went to this website, or I went to this location, and I just checked out what was going on there. People will give you ideas. The longer you have, the more options you're going to find through other people, is what I'm getting. Could be through online or whatever it may be for you. But it's like having that array, I say array, but you're like, instead of having just you're allowed these options, instead of just having that version, you're kind of like, okay, what you're allowing me, I have that, but I also have these things over here that they may or may not know about. It's just kind of like giving you some energy, giving you some advantage points to where you don't feel like you're being pressured into going somewhere you don't want to go. Are we good? All right, I think we made the point, so I'm going to shut it down here. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you very much for watching, and you have a great day.